This movie just needs to come out already. What is up, everybody? My name is Kevin, and today I have a brand new video for you guys. The Odyssey just was shown to critics, and we are starting to get the first reactions to this movie. So I just want to go over some of these reactions, try to find some through line because some of them are overly positive. And so I want to help you guys break it down and get you guys some good insight before the Odyssey comes out in just a couple weeks. If you guys are into this sort of content, please like and subscribe and ring the bell since I try to post daily. If you do, you'll stay notified. And comment down below, what are your thoughts on the Odyssey? Are you buying into all the controversy that's going up online? Or are you just excited to see what Christopher Nolan does next? So again, before we hop into any of these, a lot of these first reactions, they're overly positive. Critics or influencers, they go to these showings and they obviously want to get invited back, so you can't completely just shit on the movie that you're watching. But from these reactions, there's a lot to unpack here and a lot to just digest because there's some really good insights of what this movie is going to be like. The first tweet I saw on X was from Jacob, and he said, "The Odyssey is an incredible visual epic with some thrilling action set pieces and moments when Christopher Nolan leans into horror in such a cool way." Keep in mind the horror aspects because this is like a very underlying comment in a lot of these tweets. And that is exciting if true. If the Odyssey has a horror aspect to it, which I am a huge Odyssey fan, I really love the book. That is one of the only books I really enjoyed reading in school. And there's so many horrific elements. And if they embrace that in this movie, I think that's awesome. We really haven't seen Christopher Nolan embrace the horror of movies. And I'm a big horror movie guy. So if there's anything scary, that would be awesome. But he says, all of the cast are on their A game in this film, but Tom Holland and Himesh Patel stood out as surprise favorites to me. Tom Holland being a standout is not being called out only in this one tweet here. I mean, I saw 3 or 4 other tweets also calling out Tom Holland as a career best performance, which I think he's going to have a summer to dream of, honestly, because he has not only the Odyssey, but Spider-Man Brand New Day, which looks awesome. But Himesh Patel, to be honest, I actually haven't seen much of Himesh Patel. But this, again, he is another actor that is being called out with an awesome performance here. So, again, I think Christopher Nolan really brings out the best in a lot of these actors and actresses. And so I just love seeing even well-established actors go and act for Christopher Nolan, like Robert Downey Jr., for instance. And the quality is just phenomenal. We have another tweet here that reads, "The Odyssey redefines the standard for what an epic should be. Tom Holland gives a career-defining performance as Telemachus, and Christopher Nolan's carefully crafted work has turned out to be his magnum opus, a must-see in IMAX." Again, another one that is calling out Tom Holland. And I think that is important to know because he's gotten a lot of criticisms, especially for calling Matt Damon father or dad. So I understand people are very just overly critical, which you can take that as you will. I think there is rightful criticisms, but I don't know where this hate train for Christopher Nolan has came recently. But again, another person is calling out his performance. I'm really excited to see his performance, and I think he is a good fit for his book counterpart that we're going to see in this story here. Next tweet we have here. "Now that the social embargo is up, I can say that Samantha Morton's sequence in the Odyssey is perhaps the best of the entire film, and we're going to be talking about it for years to come. If you know, you know. Nolan's tapping into a side he hasn't really shown before." So I'm interested in this because, to be honest, I also don't know who Samantha Morton is. But it seems like she also has a really phenomenal performance in this. And I wonder if anyone has any predictions of who she's playing or what this could possibly be. Comment down below. But now I have to look out for this. I'm going to be just wondering the entire time what's going on with her. And so now I'm even more excited to just figure out who her character is and what's going on with her. We have another tweet here calling out the Odyssey being very emotional You didn't think it was going to make you cry. This very big, just epic, that it was just a cinematic masterpiece. You wouldn't necessarily expect it to pack as much emotion, but Rachel here says that it really did get her at the end, which I think that's important to keep in mind. Christopher Nolan has always had these gut punches throughout all of his movies, Interstellar, Inception, and so I would be surprised if it didn't have a really emotional part to the movie. But overall, I think it's important to not only look at the good, but it's important to try and find critical information about maybe even some middling or somewhat negative comments about this. And I really couldn't find much outside of this one post. I found this one post on here that it has a little bit of criticism, which I think is important to keep in mind. Again, very overly positive reactions. They want to be invited back. And so it's important to get a new perspective. He does first say, yeah, the Odyssey is really good. It is a little disorienting at first before it settles into what feels like a series of vignettes for a little while, and then before you realize what's happened, it all comes together for the third act, aka a Nolan take on the Odyssey. Every single set piece is unreal. We knew it was going to look great. We knew that he was going to have the emotional punch. We knew he was going to be able to bring out the best in a lot of these actors and actresses. But it is important to note that Evan does say it is a little disorienting at first. It feels a little bit messy. You can infer that it might be a little bit over convoluted at first. I'm not going to try and put words in Evan's mouth here, but I think it's important to know that the Odyssey, it has a lot of depth. It really takes its time to get going before you start getting to the crazy stuff. I vividly remember that in the book. And so I can see how, if this was like a one-on-one adaptation of the book, that it could be a little bit disjointed at the beginning. We also have David here, and luckily he isn't as overly positive as well. I think it's important to actually be truthful in what you're saying in your first reactions, but he says, The Odyssey, a surprisingly natural and less despairing Oppenheimer follow-up about a man haunted by defying the gods and dooming civilization. This one fights to avenge his own hubris. IMAX, obviously immense, too clunky to be S-tier Nolan, but the last act rewards the journey. So we see back-to-back tweets where they both say the same thing. The ending really takes it home. The ending of the Odyssey is incredible. I highly recommend going in as blind as possible, and I'm really excited to see how they pull this thing off. But it's all really about the journey and that payoff at the end of seeing how everything ends off. And so, again, they're calling out that the first couple, I'm assuming the first hour, because this movie's going to be 3 hours long, the first hour is probably slow, and it takes a little while to get into. But man, even if it is an S-tier Nolan, A-tier Nolan is really good too. Even like the Prestige. I wouldn't say it's necessarily S-tier Nolan, but if we get a Prestige, we really need a good epic, a Greek epic, because a lot of them, we don't get a whole lot of good, just mythology stories anymore. A lot of them turned out to be horrible, and so I'm really hoping that Christopher Nolan cracks the code here. But what did you guys think of these first reactions? Again, I wouldn't take all of this with, yes, this movie's going to be great. Take all of it with a grain of salt. Are you guys going to go see this opening night or opening weekend? And what are some things you are actually concerned about? Let's try to keep any controversial stuff outside the comments, please. And yeah, if you guys are interested in this comment, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.